Peace and blessings, man. It's your brother Prince Malachi, man. We back in the scriptures again. And today we touching on the subject of what is a sin. Because a lot of people will say, oh, well, drinking is a sin. Oh, well, cussing is a sin. Or this is a sin. Such and such is. Today, we finna go in the scriptures and find out what's actually a sin and what's not. So to start off, we go into the book of 1 John, chapter 3 and verse 4. The book of 1 John, chapter 3 and verse 4 is highlighted right here. It says, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. So all this is saying is if you commit a sin, you're breaking the law, for sin is the breaking of the law. If you don't know what the law is the first 5 books of the Bible. That's where you find the commandments God gave. So you need to go to the Old Testament, who they say is done away with. You need to go to the Old Testament and find out what is the commandments and start keeping them. That's how you repent. Okay, you go from breaking God's commandments to keeping God's commandments. Go to the Old Testament. Exodus 20 is a good place to find some commandments. That's the 10 commandments. The book of Exodus chapter 20. And, go see the commandments. Matter of fact, we finna go there. But I just went there to show you a sin is simply when you break God's commandments. So let's go see some of God's commandments, and I'm going to explain to you how is it a sin or if it's not a sin. So let's start at verse 3. This Exodus 20, this is the 10 commandments. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. So that's a law. If you break that, now you are in sin. If you have other gods, you are in sin, because God said, thou shalt have no other gods before me. So now you are in sin. See that? That's all a sin is when you break God's commandments. Boom. Let's see. Let's go down here. Verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So if you don't honor God commanded you to honor your father and mother. If you don't honor your father and mother, that is a sin. God said, boom, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. If you bear false witness, which means when you make a false claim against somebody, that is a sin. Because God said, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Plain and simple. Verse 17, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. To covet means to lust after. So you can't be wanting something that belongs to somebody else. You can't be coveting somebody else's stuff. That's a sin, because God said, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his manservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So you can't be looking at his wife and wanting her. You can't be looking at his house and wanting it. You can't be looking at his car and wanting that, because God said, don't do that. That is a sin. God said, don't do it. If you do it, now you sinning. That's all a sin is. I hope this have been helpful. This has been your brother Prince Malachi. Peace and blessings. A sin is simply when you break God's commandments.